to approve the consent agenda as indicated. That's items 3A1, 3A2, and 3A3.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion
I'll make a second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 3B, and that is to approve the Lawrence County School District Facility Plan. Mr. Armstrong?
You have in your packet, ladies and gentlemen, a copy of the, it's the one that's printed landscape style. And at the top it says KDE approval date, although it's tentative of December 2013. And just to, in a nutshell, this is a copy or a draft of the plan that was approved unanimously by the planning committee when they met this past Tuesday. And it reflects comments and public, it especially reflects comment and public input from Tuesday's meeting and the week before that.
I don't believe it was unanimous, but it was approved.
It wasn't, thank you. You're right, I think correct on that. But it was approved by the majority. And then you also have, just so you have a little perspective, make sure that you all are getting what the same information or materials that the planning committee is getting. You also have, just for your information, some of you may have it back in an old file dating back to 2008, but in the copy with the yellow highlight, this is our current plan, so to speak. Of course, it was approved in 2008, and I just want you to see that if you sat down and kind of did a back and forth comparison, you would indeed see that they are very similar. They are just very similar. The priority piece is the replacement of Lisa West, and then it also includes the building of a Lawrence County Technology Center here on campus. And then the rest of the pieces are really about renovation at Blaine and Fallsburg. And then you can see in the care streams, you notice we're also talking about upgrading to, actually that should be 21st century classrooms so that we can continue to initiate and improve technology in the buildings. And then you'll also see at the high school here, down at the bottom of the page, through the district-wide request to continue to renovate and improve safety and security systems, and that's the work that's ongoing in that regard. And at the high school, the further expansion of the media center, and then discretionary includes the high school custodial receiving, again, Ms. Gagey asked about that earlier, other schools, and at the middle school, Blaine Fitness Center, and we've also included in there the last piece on the discretionary construction projects is for the high school or the football field drainage improvements. So that piece is in there also.
And I believe that Ms. Gagey was asking about the Blaine cafeteria. And if you look at the district needs on the very back page, you'll see
Cafeteria
that.
on there? It has cafeteria.
Yes.
Oh,
I thought it was in there somewhere.
okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
So that has not been removed or converted into something else. It's just, it's on the back page.
And I was looking at the other one.
Yes.
The reason.
And also, folks, and Mr. C, help me out here just in case. Mr. Murphy, Tim, who has facilitated, done a real nice job with this, will, if indeed you'll approve this evening, he will turn this back around again on Monday, back to the department, and ask, and what they would do then is go through and kind of approve it, but it's not official approval because the state board has to approve it, but the department up there, or the office up there where Tim Lucas, who is our contact person there up in facilities, would look at it again and approve it. It would come back to the facilities commission or facilities committee, who will then hold a public hearing, different than a public forum, insofar as we would actually have a reporter here who would take public comment again on what is like a final draft version of the plan, depending then if there's no pushback from the department and no pushback from the community based on the public hearing, it goes back to the state board then for their approval. Most likely it would be thumbs up. If it was thumbs down, it comes back to the board, who has to then address those questions with the planning committee. But our goal is, again, thank you all for agreeing to meet this evening, is to just push this back to the department as soon as possible, so that it can be indeed be approved at the December meeting of the Kentucky Board of Education.
And one of the reasons that it was not unanimous vote was there was some discussion about moving some of the items out of item two under the old plan into item number 1 of the new plan to give it much more flexibility. So that gives the board more flexibility to say, well, I want to work on this project first before I work on something else. Some of the folks thought that maybe wanted to leave that alone. I think it was like 3 people out of the committee that thought that should remain that way. But then really overall, and Mr. Murphy explained it as well, that it gives the board more flexibility to choose which projects you want to work on first.
And also important just for you to know that under the item there, 1B, new construction, just because number 1 is the new Lawrence County Area Technology Center and number 2 is the elementary school, the board can consider those either way. And he said that he had actually submitted the first draft back to the department and had the new elementary school as number 1. And for some reason, Frankfurt switched them, but don't think that means that they have to be done in that order. If and when the board should decide to want to move, on example, one to the elementary school, they could do that first before they considered doing something with the technology center.
Well, we need that first. Definitely need a new
Yes.
elementary school.
It will be the board's choice.
We need that before we need anything.
Is
Really do.
is there any other questions on the new facility plan that's being proposed?
I actually do. On the 21st Century Classroom Initiative, again, I've been concerned that Blaine does not, they're not in the 21st Century Grant Program right now. I know we bust them in here, but is that something that we can look at?
Well, yes, but yes, and I think Ms. Gates, they both have the same name, but they're two distinctly different. The 21st Century Grant is different than the nomenclature that we assign to 21st Century Classrooms.
Okay.
Two different, same church, but very different companies. But I appreciate that. It's a good question.
Well, does any and all construction items have to be in this plan before it could be worked on here, or is there, there's talk right now, we'd like to raise some money and expand the concession stand a little bit. That's not in here, but
No,
is that?
but we could always, we always can come back to that,
Okay.
Mr. President, and
Okay.
come back to that and amend the plan.
Okay.
If we need or want to.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And
Because this is a 5-year plan does not mean that you can't adjust it.
Right, and amend it
You-
prior
you-
to,
Once you have a plan in place, then you can always come back anytime
Okay.
and amend it.
Okay.
And I had a question also on the Cole Technology Suite in classroom. I'm sure that I would expect that it's been researched and there's a dire need
well,
with all the,
yes, we certainly have, that is an offering here now, and we have 100% of those students who were in that class last year did receive their permit card. But please know that we're having conversations, which we are.
okay,
We're
good.
talking about that. We are. Good question.
things